If you work at a big company with more than 50 employees, you're entitled to the benefits of the Family Medical Leave Act, which means that you should get at least 12 weeks off of work. There's also short-term disability, which is something you would apply for from the government. It can cover a portion of your salary or potentially your entire salary for 3 to 6 weeks. Short-term disability could be really helpful, especially if you're a freelancer, and short-term disability could help pad the benefits that you would receive from the Family Medical Leave Act. There's also bonding leave, which is available to the person that is not having the baby. So if you're watching this and you are not pregnant, or you are the partner of someone who is pregnant, you have the opportunity to take 12 weeks off of work and to receive similar benefits to what are offered with the Family Medical Leave Act. So it's important, thinking about all these different options, to really touch base with your head of people or your HR at work to get clarity on what's actually available to you. What I've often seen is that people will couple together these options and put together the framework that works for them. But the most important thing is to figure out what's actually available and what's most common within the work setting that you're currently in. And if you're freelancing or you own your own business, again, figuring out what structure is going to work best for you and your team. Now I want to introduce you to the idea of your leave ecosystem. And what I mean by that is when you're thinking about what it's going to be like to leave work, it is actually a new environment, and it's a temporary environment that you're creating for yourself. And so you want to think about what are the components that you need to have a supportive ecosystem. And those components are finances, support, boundaries, and flexibility. When it comes to finances, really planning out how much money you think you're going to need in order to feel comfortable during that time. If you're in a partnership, getting really clear with your partner about budgeting. Some of the tools in this class provide support around getting an idea of our haves and have-nots and really getting granular about what your financial situation is going to look like during that time. Talking about finances can bring up a lot of anxiety. All of us have very different histories when it comes to money. And maybe this is probably the first time in a long time that you maybe are talking about finances, especially if you're in a partnership. Maybe the last time you talked about finances in a macro way was when the two of you potentially, if you are married, got married. So just be aware that finances can be a tender thing to talk about, but it's really important to get clear and strategize around that in order to create a supportive ecosystem during your time away from work. The next piece is support. Support is going to be very important in order for you to feel like you have what you need during your time off of work. So what is support going to look like? Is it going to be hiring a doula or having night support? Is it family coming in? Is it friends? Is it your partner also taking their leave at the same time to be able to help support you? Really just getting very realistic about what that support is going to look like. My suggestion really would be to have good support at least for the first 6 weeks of your time off of work. And it doesn't have to be continuous, but making sure you're having someone come in 1 to 2 or 3 days a week to support you, whether that's around feeding or taking care of the baby. If those are possibilities for you, that's really what I would lean into. Beyond that, other types of support that are not necessarily related to the baby, but just related to maybe your home might be having support with keeping the house in order, maybe having support around taking care of your pets if you have pets, and maybe support around taking care of other children or other people in the household if you have potentially a multi-generational household or people with special needs that live in the home as well. So when you're thinking about support, you do want to center yourself and your own needs, but at the same time, cast a wide net to make sure that everyone in the ecosystem is getting what they're needing as well. Boundaries are another critical part of your ecosystem. And that's because there's so much that you're negotiating as a new parent. You really want to make sure that you have enough space to hear your own voice, to rest, and to just sometimes veg out and not feel like you have any real pressure going on. So really understanding what is that going to look like. And boundaries really flow over to a couple of different areas. Even when I was talking about support, A boundary might be maybe the type of support you need might not come from your immediate family. Maybe it's better to have support that's not family in order for you to feel less activation, less anxiety, less stress. Also, when it comes to boundaries, if you find making boundaries very difficult, really revisit the negotiate and advocate section of this class. I go into a lot of detail around how to build negotiating skills and how to advocate for yourself, which is a big part of creating boundaries. Lastly is flexibility. Flexibility is everything during this time. And the reason for that is thinking things are going to go a certain way, oftentimes they don't. And being flexible and able to pivot easily as things change is really going to help you feel a lot more confident in your experience. What I would ask you to commit to and not be flexible about right now is the fact that change is the only constant during this postpartum phase. The other component of flexibility has to do with when it's time to go back to work. Now, what might feel like the best way to go is to just head back to work full time like you always did. But you're different now. A more gentle and probably sustainable approach would be to phase your approach back to work. So that could look like instead of going back to work on Monday and working a full 5-day week, consider going back to work on a Wednesday and only having half the week so that you can see how you feel, how your body is acclimating, how it feels to be away from your baby. And also, it'll give you a chance to just understand what your work ecosystem feels like after being absent from it for a little while. Small tweaks like that can really make a big difference. So if you're watching this and you're still pregnant and you're planning ahead, it's a really good idea to talk to your head of HR or people or whoever manages that in your workplace about what it would look like for you to phase your way back into work, because that flexibility can help that transition feel a lot easier.